I'm Brian James.
And I'm Addie Smock,
I'm a librarian at the Kingston Library.
also a librarian at the Kingston Library. I moved to Kingston for work, for this job specifically, but I wanted to live here for a very long time. I did all of my grad school, library school projects on Kingston, and had really, really wanted to move here because it's such a fantastic community. There's art and music and nature and a really involved citizenry. People are making shit happen.
I came to Kingston about 8 years ago. I moved up from the city about 20 years ago, lived in Phoenicia, but then we moved to Kingston when my wife and I were going to have a child, and we didn't want to live in the middle of nowhere. Kingston was a town at that time, this was in 2015, that was improving, and we were like, ooh, let's go to Kingston. And we never want to leave now. So we love that it's a progressive community, that people are open-minded. It's a friendly community. It's rare that you can go to a place and you walk down a street and everybody says hi to each other and everybody's nice, and people that you don't know, and you can have a conversation with pretty much anybody in town that you see. And I've always felt walking through this town that there's like this sense of hope that really exists in this town, and you can feel it, and it's really special and unlike a lot of other places that I've been to.
I love Kingston because even though it's a small town, there's oodles of diversity, which is really important to me. My neighbors next door on one side speak Quiche, an indigenous Guatemalan language, and then the other side is, middle-class white folks, and everyone gets along, and the neighborhoods are friendly. And it's just really a very neighborly place, very, very neighborly place. Like Brian said, people say hi to each other. I see library patrons in the grocery store, and they give me a what's up. And it's just really, really great.
Aditi. I am the chef owner at Calcutta Kitchens. I moved to the Hudson Valley 4 years ago, and I was looking for a small space to kind of do home-style Indian, vegan, and vegetarian cooking. And a friend talked to me about the space on Broadway. I didn't quite have what I have that was not what I had in mind, but once I saw the space, it was like, this is so perfect. I could do a little cooking, I could sell a few Indian goods here, like groceries, which I think are more and more mainstream American now, and it kind of got a life of its own, and it's been fantastic. Kingston has been amazing. The love and the support and the encouragement that I've gotten from customers, people in general, other community business owners, other community members like Chronogram, Radio Kingston, they've just made me feel so welcome. It's like, I was like, I guess I was supposed to be here. So it feels very, very natural. And I am not originally from this country. I came to America 25 years ago, 26. Lived in Connecticut for a very, very long time, over 20 years, and I'm a fairly recent transplant to the Hudson Valley, a little over 4 years ago. But after all these years, Kingston is the place I really felt closest to home. I kind of had accepted that feeling of not having that feeling ever again, but Kingston kind of makes me feel like this is where I belong.
Okay, my name is Erin Studd. I am the owner and the chef at Pact Restaurant, now catering and private event company in Kingston. I moved to Kingston by accident, about 9 years ago. My friend and I were looking for a place in Rosendale where our friend lives. We used to go camping with all the time, and we went to Kingston to get lunch. I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina, and I was like, wow, this looks just like Asheville did in the 80s. I love it. And then we were leaving I think we were at Sissy's, and we went to next door. There was a poster in the window for an apartment. We went and looked at it, and then got the keys that day, and then moved here. It was very exciting. Yeah, I never left. I love it. Kingston, despite being a super fun community, also will band together for everybody. I've never lived somewhere where it reminds me of the South, where if one person in the community has an issue, everybody around them will get together and be like, what do you need? Do you need snacks? Do you need blankets? Do you need to borrow my car? Do you need to live in my apartment? Do you need me to redo your lawn? Do you need a new roof? And it just happens overnight. And is something really cool and something that we wanted to add to. So when we opened the pact, that was part of it. It was like a pact with the community that it would be a safe space for everybody to just kind of stay weird in, and it's held true the entire 9 years that I've lived here. So that's really cool too, to see everybody like growing and still doing awesome things for the people around them. So it's my fave.
My name is Lauren Aiken.
I'm Chase Folsom.
So we are co-owners of Headstone Gallery and Headstone Ceramic Casting Company.
Well, so my partner actually is from here, and I was a full-time professor in Virginia, and I left to be with him. And during the pandemic, it was a pretty easy decision, but this is my 7th city in 13 years, and so it was just time to finally put some roots down and stay, and everything's kind of blossomed since I moved here, so I don't really have a reason to leave.
I actually grew up in Accord and was born and raised in Hudson Valley, and then left and moved down to a 2-mile by 12-mile island in the Caribbean for 6 years, and then came back to Kingston about 5 years ago and stayed. Didn't think I would ever live in the Hudson Valley again in my life, and here I am. I think for me, I have a lot of friends that still live around here, and I just feel like this community of people is super diverse in what people do, for work and activities and what businesses they own. And I also just feel like, I was talking about this with someone actually at our building the other day, I think the thing that I love is if I ever need anything, or I feel like I have something to kind of put out into the world, I can always talk to anybody who kind of lives in this area, and for whatever reason, there's always kind of a 6 degree of separation with connecting, either for work or jobs or something else. And to me, that's what feels very community driven here, is that you can kind of talk to anybody who you come into contact with, and you most likely have crossed paths with someone who they know.
Absolutely. Just to kind of second that, I think, I haven't had trouble surviving here in a way that I've had as an artist and as a maker. And yeah, everyone has been very kind, and it's been very easy to connect with people, and then connect my work, connect with you, obviously. And people are loyal, and it's been really kind of a pleasure. And I'm from Atlanta originally, so when I tell people, the New Yorkers here are so nice and so inviting, and people are like, what part of New York are you from? And so I just think it's just been absolutely wonderful since I moved here, even during a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of crazy. So yeah.
We're stoked to be here. We're super excited that our business is here, and that right now, we've been open for 4 months, and we've gotten this super incredible reception for having an art gallery and a ceramic company, and we're just looking forward to connecting with more people around here.
Yeah, and thank you for being inviting. I think honestly, it has been since day one that we had 250 people at our opening, and I don't even know 250 people in this town, and yeah, we are so happy, we are so excited. I'm excited to share what we have in store for Kingston.
I'm Jess Davis, and I am the Director of Membership at the Ulster County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I am also an indoor cycling instructor at the YMCA, which I love both things, and I feel like they both really complement each other because they're both in a way serving our local community, and that's what it's all about. So why Kingston? Why not Kingston? I feel like we have it all. We have the arts, we have the culture, we have the food, we have the people, we have the organizations. And over the past couple of years, we've really been able to showcase all of the kindness and all of the good that we have here in the city of Kingston. It just keeps getting better, quite honestly. I've been here for 45 years. And I've been through a lot of ups and downs, when it was an IBM community, and then when IBM left and it was devastating. And then we've really worked so hard to recreate ourselves. And I think it makes for a really, really special place to be. And obviously, as we worked to highlight the beauty of the Hudson Valley here, the arts that we have, the destination of the city of Kingston and Ulster County, the word got out there because obviously people are coming, and they're not just coming to visit, they're coming to stay, to play, to eat, to raise their families, and it's really special. So Kingston is a city with a small town vibe. I love being able to stop in, and I know the people that are behind the counter. I'm patronizing their business, the owners, and then I also know the guests coming in. And I love that small town community feeling. And even I think as we're growing and people are moving in from all over the United States, obviously we've read many articles, we know the stats, we're a destination. Even as those new people are coming in, there's still a true sense of a really tight-knit community, and that means so much to me.
My name is Joe Concra. Oh my gosh, I do so much, but primarily I'm a painter, and I'm also co-founder of the O Positive Festival. Wow. Well, I live here because I came back here after not living here for many, many years of my life, and realized that it was beautiful, and that there were a community of people that really cared about art and music, and I wanted to be in a community that cared about its culture. It doesn't take long to crack open the egg with people in Kingston. It can be a little bit, it could seem like maybe people don't want to talk at first, but I've been constantly amazed, especially since doing O Positive, how much people want to give and how much people want to help their neighbor.
Sima. I volunteer at the Restore and with the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative and with the A.J. Williams Myers African Root Center. A friend of mine came back to Indiana, a friend of mine who had been in an artist residency here came back to Indiana raving about Kingston, and so I came and checked it out and liked it, and turned out that my husband, who's a musician, knew a lot of people here, and so, you know, he didn't know Kingston per se, but he was kind of familiar with the scene, so. Well, I mean, one thing I like, the most basic thing that I really like is not actually a community thing, it's that it's not flat. One of the things that really drove me crazy in the Midwest was how flat it was, and I just really, really missed gradations and hills and being able to look and have your view kind of stop. One of the things that's really impressive about Kingston is how progressive it feels. I mean, there are definitely there are certainly issues here, and both racial issues and class issues, but people seem much more aware and much more active than most other places that I've been. It's beautiful, really beautiful. I mean, I think it's really beautiful. I think the Hudson River is stunning. We've lived in a couple of different neighborhoods, and they have very distinct feels, which is really kind of cool for a city that's not particularly large. And also, I think people here have generally been very welcoming and friendly, and I like that there's a kind of a solid base of people who have grown up, born and grown up here, and at the same time, like new blood, new activity coming in.
My name is Yang Qian Lamo, and I come from Tibet. Now I'm in Kingston. I sing, I write songs and sing, and for me also it's one of prayer also. I don't separate prayer and singing, so I don't put these are different, they are one. A few years ago, my dearest sister, America sister, Natalie Mergen, she said, come up here, and so she said, you're always traveling, and so come here in Kingston. So that's how I came. I travel over 90 countries, and people sometimes say, why it's Kingston? And I think sometime in life there's many things are planned. And also Kingston, it's you can different parts of the people here create and live in the harmonies. Yeah.
Well, I'm Hope.
And I'm Charles.
We're the Matthews. Well, we are opening Clio, which is a soon-to-be wine bar in Uptown Kingston.
Firstly, we moved here from Denver after scouting or like being introduced to the Catskill region years ago, and things just kept pulling us back here. And during the pandemic, we kind of hunkered down in a farmhouse and decided that we were going to interview different cities and towns throughout the Catskill region, and Kingston just spoke to us. The diversity, the access to the city, also the access to the middle of nowhere, the mountains, like being isolated. It was pretty ideal.
Yeah, it was one of the only towns that we went to that we felt like had a real community, and that's kind of where we wanted to open a restaurant, so it felt like this is the place for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like speaking to the restaurant, I would have to say that the Hudson Valley has just such a very deep agricultural community that it just spoke to us in that way. Like, it just seemed right.
I think we were struck, we first started coming here because of the farmers market, but we were struck by kind of the community involvement. It seems like a lot of our neighbors are really active in what's going on and shaping the future of Kingston, and that was really appealing to us. And we also love that although there is a huge tourism industry, that there are people that live here year-round, as opposed to some of the neighborhoods in the Catskills where that's less so.
I think for me too, like the artistic nature of the community,
For
like
sure.
the entrepreneurship nature of the community as well. There's a lot of, I don't know, quote, mom and pop shops and like people that are doing things themselves. That was a real draw. I'd like to say that we're part of that community. Like, we're both pretty artistic and, I don't know, budding entrepreneurs now. But, it ultimately just felt really warm here and welcoming, so.
We love it here, and we're really excited to grow our future.
I am Molly Steers. I am by trade a bartender, and I work in a lot of really boring office admin jobs, but my official title is the Kingston unofficial mayor of party. I like to throw a lot of really small events at various bars and venues. We have obviously a lot less of them now, thanks COVID. But that is what my bread and butter is, getting people out of all walks of life for really weird and fun themes and forcing them to participate under threat of not death, but exclusion. I actually left for a little while. I was raised here, and I left when I was 21. I joined the Navy, and I served in San Diego. I did 3.5 years out there until I got hurt. So that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I found out I am not a military person, as I'm sure anyone can really tell. And then I came back because it was too expensive to continue living in San Diego as a civilian. Little did I know that, only a mere 2 years later, I would be paying almost double my San Diego rent to be here and not near a beach. But it was interesting to come back. I came back in 2011, going to 12. It was like the winter. And so much had changed since I left. There used to be nothing uptown. There were tumbleweeds. There was really just Chronogram and Bia, or not, well, now it's Bia, but it was Elephant restaurant, and Snappers, which will never die. Long live Snaps. So I stayed after that because I found my people that I really hadn't found while I was living here as a teenager, because obviously you progress and grow as a person, and then you meet the right people at the right time. And I've been lucky enough to see the ebb and flow of Kingston ever since then, and that was, about 10 years ago.
The Kingston Stockade, black and orange till I die.